while we get to the content of the box, the Gionee M12 comes in two variants, with the only difference between the two being the memory config, the processor, and the price. For variant 1, which is the one I have here, it comes with a Helio A25 processor, 4 gigs of RAM, and 64 gigs of storage. Variant 2 comes with a Helio P12 Octa-Core processor, 6 gigs of RAM, and 128 gigs of storage. For the price difference, the 64 gig variant goes for 69,400 naira, while the 128 gig variant will set you back 79,800 naira. So at the end of this video, you should be able to determine if the difference of 10,000 naira is worth going for the 128 gig variant with a Helio P12 processor. I have the magic green color here, but there's also a dazzling black color option available. In the box, you get the Gionee M12, a semi-ejector tool, some paperwork, and a smoked rubber case. At the bottom layer, you get a pair of earphones, a USB-C data and charging cable, and a 10-watt charger. Taking off the sticker and testing the case, it fits snugly and isn't the easiest of cases to take off the phone, which is a good thing as this case provides more grip and protection to the phone. With regards to look and build quality, the M12 has a sturdy build and has quite a weight to it. Although this phone has its frame and back panels made from plastic, it doesn't particularly feel cheap, and the weight actually makes it feel like it's more expensive than it is. For button and port placements, we have the volume rockers and power buttons to the right of the device. The SIM tray, which houses 2 nano SIM bays and a micro SD card bay, can be found to the left of the device. The 3.5mm headphone port, a microphone, a USB-C charging port, and speaker grills are at the bottom of the device, and there's nothing at the top of the phone. There's a fingerprint reader and also a quad camera setup at the back of the phone, and up front we have a punch hole selfie camera and that huge 6.55-inch 720p IPS LCD display. This display has an aspect ratio of 20:9, giving it a really tall but slender frame. This overall makes the device feel comfortable due to the slim frame, and with an aspect ratio like this, watching videos become even more enjoyable. And talking about videos, you're capped at 720p videos here, and this display being an LCD display also gets washed out from certain angles. But really, how many times do you look at your phone from a 30-degree angle? Pictures on the screen look good and the colors are vibrant. You should have no issues with enjoying video playback on this phone. I really do wish, however, that the screen was a 1080p screen, but again, this is an entry-level to mid-range budget smartphone, hence the display type. So in this budget phone, we get a 5100 mAh battery, which has so far seen me getting incredible battery life performance from this phone in my last 5 days of use. I honestly think if you live in a country like Nigeria, this phone's battery life is what you need to get you through a day and a half of incredibly heavy use without charging. Paired with the 720p screen and the entry-level power-efficient Helio A25 octa-core processor, this phone just kills it in the battery department. I get between 9 and 11 hours of screen on time depending on usage, and honestly, I haven't been able to kill this phone after charging it to 100% in the last 5 days. So for battery charging times, I've not been able to do a full 0 to 100% charge, but I charged it up to 50% from 10% in about an hour using the included 10-watt charger. For a budget entry-level to mid-range phone, the M12 4GB plus 64GB variant with the Helio A25 chipset is okay, but I would rather add some money and get the Helio P12 variant with 6GB of RAM and 128GB of storage. If you're going to be using this phone for 2 years, then it makes all the purchase sense to just get that one. Performance is okay here, but should be left to non-tasking activities that shouldn't make the phone slow down. 3D games are playable here, but again, be ready for long waits when loading the games, and you should also be ready to play at low settings. The fingerprint reader unlocks the phone in just a second. It isn't the fastest unlock speed, but it gets the job done. I'd like to believe all these will be much faster on the Gionee M12 with the Helio P12 processor. Again, I'd like to reiterate that this is an entry-level to mid-range budget smartphone, and you should expect good but not super fast speeds. If your budget is much lower, then Gionee has a third phone they're releasing. It's called the Gionee P12 and it costs just 38,900 naira. With the P12 entry-level phone, you're getting a phone with a 6.1-inch HD water drop notch screen, a 3200 mAh battery, a dual nano SIM and SD card slot, 2 gigs of RAM and 16 gigs of internal storage. You're also getting a 5 megapixel selfie camera and a triple rear camera setup consisting of a 13 megapixel main, 2 megapixel depth and 2 megapixel macro lens. Back to the Gionee M12. If you take a look at this phone, you'd find that Gionee has tried to create a device that has a good balance between build quality and good aesthetics while not breaking the bank. This phone could have been cheaper, but for the current exchange rate and naira woes, we find it at its current cost of 69,400, at least for the variant that I have here. So for software, the M12 is running on Android 10 with Gionee's fork of Android that looks very similar to stock Android. It's fairly fast and clean, and I have no complaints here. This is a 4G phone and supports most, if not all, of the widely used 4G bands available in the country. Let's talk about the cameras. At the rear, we have 4 cameras. The main camera is a 48 megapixel shooter that can also produce 108 megapixel photos using the super pixel mode in the camera app. While this mode improves the overall image quality, it isn't that noticeable over the regular shooting mode. Here are some photos from the Gionee M12. You let me know what you think about them in the comment section. The 16 megapixel selfie camera takes decent photos, although you'd find that it struggles to handle dynamic range in photos taken in very bright situations like a bright sunny day. It however has a lot of noise in low light situations, but overall the photos look good. So between the Gionee M12 that has the Helio A25 processor and the one that comes with the Helio P12 processor, which should you go for? Well, this is how I would put it. I think adding an extra 10k is worth it going the P12 model over the A25. It just gives you extra speed, extra smoothness, and extra power to use in that phone. I would recommend you go for the higher processor variant over the one with the A25. I think it's just worth it, and it makes more sense if you're going to be using this phone over a 1 year or 2 year period. Phones slow down over time, so the better power you can get, the better for you. Guys, I hope you loved this video. If you did, hit that like button and also consider subscribing to the channel. Also turn on notification to be the first to be alerted when I post new videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.